In this video, I'm going to give you 38 different resources of web design inspiration so that you can build award-winning websites. This is the kind of episode you're going to want to bookmark, save it so that you can come back to it. Are you ready? Let's go. Did I ever tell you about the time that a group of designers sat around and made fun of one of my websites? Yeah, it was not my best moment. I had asked for some feedback on a project that I had done, and let's just say that's when the heckling began. But then just a couple years later, one of my websites ended up on one of the very web design inspiration resources that I'm going to share with you today. So what happened? What made that transformation? I myself got serious about going out and finding my own web design inspiration. And today I'm going to share with you my full list of resources so that you can build the kind of award-winning websites that other people look at and go, wow, isn't that amazing? I wish I could do something like that. The first one is always first and foremost a Chrome extension called Muzli. M-U-Z-L-I, almost like it's a muse for good design inspiration. Muzli is an extension that every time you open up a new browser from within Chrome, instead of getting the standard Google search bar, you'll get a list of design inspiration that's curated to you specifically. I look through Muzli multiple times a day. I'm always clicking through and looking for things that kind of pique my interest. But you don't just want to stop at one source of web design inspiration, because that can make your design somewhat homogeneous. You need to find other places that are going to stretch you. That's why I also find myself looking at this source of web design inspiration. Number two is landing pics. Now, landing pics is dedicated to just landing pages. If you're wondering what landing pages are supposed to be pages that you land on and they have one single purpose, either to sell you something or to get you to sign up for something, and you can't take off from them, right? So you fly in for a landing, but you have a hard time taking off. So there's no other type of navigation for you to navigate to or to go to from within the page. And now I do see a lot of pages that aren't just landing pages on here. So it's a great source of all around web design inspiration. Number three, Maxi Best Stuff. Now this is definitely one that I go to very, very often. Maxi Best Of is a source of web design inspiration that's curated by a guy named Bertrand Brondet, which is very difficult to say. If you're wondering how many times it took me to actually pronounce that correctly for this episode, I can't share my trade secrets. The cool thing about Maxi Best Of is that they actually categorize by font pairings. And so if you're ever wondering like, hey, what font would go well with this one that I know I want to use, this is a great place to look. Number four is a newcomer to the game called Site of Sites. They haven't been around very long, but they've done a really good job of curating a lot of really cool and interesting websites. And they devote a lot of effort to the single page of the website that they're presenting. A lot of these web design curation websites will just kind of list a really simple image on a single page, and then when you click on that image, it just takes you to the external site. They've done a little bit more to explain about who built the website, what platform it was built on, and all that kind of good stuff. Number five is Landbook. Now, Landbook, I'm pretty sure, is owned by Webflow. So you're gonna see a lot of Webflow websites. But for me, that's totally fine. I like gathering inspiration from all sorts of different types of sites. The cool thing about Landbook is that you can actually search for things by different components. So if you wanted to look up a testimony section, or if you wanted to look up a contact section, you could go here and find something that stirs up some inspiration for that real specific source of component that you're trying to build on your website. Number six, One Page Love. Now, One Page Love is like the OG of web design inspiration. It's been around for a long time, and it's one that I used to go to quite frequently. Now, they claim that you have to only be a one-page website in order to make it on their curated list of sites. But I've often seen many sites that go well beyond one page or so. One Page Love also has an Email Love website where they show a lot of great email design inspiration. So lots of cool sources of inspiration for you there. Number 7 is CSS Design Awards. Now, CSS Design Awards is all about allowing users to vote on the websites that they think are really cool. And you get to vote based on 3 categories: UI design, UX design, and innovation. So have a peek, but be careful. Once you start voting, it's kind of addictive, but it's also a really good place just to find some web design inspiration. Number 8, Unsection. Now, Unsection is devoted just to individual sections, not to entire websites, which is a really cool concept. It's kind of like Landbook's searching ability on steroids, right? One of the toughest things about designing a website is figuring out how layout is going to work, because sometimes it's tough to know which section should be more right aligned, which section should be more left aligned. Does this flow all really naturally? And Unsection allows you to look at different components of a website and get creative on how they laid out a specific section. And you don't just have to take a hint from like a hero section to a hero section. You could use the layout in a hero section on a testimony section. You could be a little bit creative in how you're going to use this, but definitely check it out. Number 9, Minimal Gallery. Now, Minimal Gallery started as a way for a guy named Pete Terhayden. I hope I said your name right, Pete. But Pete actually was just compiling a list of all the websites that he found interesting. And then it turned out that a lot of other people found it as interesting as well. Now, this is a pretty minimal take on web design inspiration. You don't get much more than just a screenshot of the hero section on both the desktop and the mobile. So go here for a good source, but you're gonna have to click and then go to the website to get the full picture. Number 10, Godly. You probably thought I missaid that, but no, that's correct. Godly, Godly. Godly is run by a design agency actually called Endless. And the cool thing about Godly is that instead of just still images, they actually have videos of people scrolling through a web page. So you get to see some of the interaction design that's happening on each website. It's a great place to go and browse through. Number 11, Lapa Ninja. Now, Lapa Ninja has been around for quite some time. So it's another one of the OGs, but I gotta forewarn you, there are a ton of ads on Lapa Ninja. So if you don't like ads, this might be one that you want to steer clear from, or at least just disable ads within your browser. Now, the cool thing about Lapa Ninja is there are also some other really great resources that don't just have to do with design inspiration. There are resources for education and all other kinds of stuff. So for sure, check it out, but be careful because you're going to see a lot of different types of things trying to get you to buy stuff. Number 12, Landings. Landings is a pretty simple website that they say is devoted to just landing pages, but it's actually got a lot of full-fledged websites, which makes me start to wonder, do I not understand what a landing page is? That could be the case. Regardless, this is a great website to look at. They've got a lot of screenshots, not a lot much more than that, but they've got some pretty cool, unique tools like a CMYK to hex code converter. If you've ever on there and you're like, hey, what is this CMYK number actually as a hex code? Then they can help you out. Number 13, Landing Folio. Landing Folio is a great source of web design inspiration, but they also have a subscription for things like Webflow, Tailwind CSS components, and also Figma components. So it's a great place to just go and kind of peruse. Yeah, they do have some ulterior motives. They want you to sign up for their subscriptions, but I'm okay with that. I think it's good that they're just putting great design out there for other people to find and get inspired from. Number 14, Killer Portfolio. And this is the first source of web design inspiration that's actually devoted just to portfolio websites. This source of great inspiration is from a guy named Mike Harmer, and I think Mike should get the award for best web design inspiration website. He's done a fantastic job. Now, where other websites love to show the massive amounts of inspirations that you get to kind of, scroll through and try to find that needle in a haystack, Mike has done a great job of trimming it down and just highlighting the websites that he has personally gone through and can put his stamp of approval on it. And each single page of the websites that are presented here are really devoted an intentional amount of space with different sections being scrolled through, and you get to see all of that stuff on this website. So it's definitely one that you want to bookmark and come back to often. Number 15, CSS Winner. Now this site is also another kind of awards-based website, but instead of it being a public vote, you actually get voted on by their team of professionals. And to that, they say you're only allowed to submit your site if it was professionally coded. So I don't quite know what that means. I'm assuming it probably means that you didn't use a website builder as much as you just hand coded the CSS. But it's a great place to look up some great web design. And if that's your cup of tea, if you like hand coding CSS for all of your websites, this should be a great place for you to consider submitting one of your sites to. Number 16 is FWA. And FWA is yet another awards-based source of web design inspiration. And they say that they accept more than just websites to be judged. So if you have some type of creative project that pushes the boundary, which is what it says on their website, then feel free to submit it. So maybe not just websites, but maybe also some graphic design. There's a lot of ways to be recognized on FWA. They have a site of the day, a site of the month, and then they have 2 yearly awards. One is the People's Choice Awards, and the other is voted on by the FWA judges, called FWA Site of the Year. Number 17, Commerce Cream. Now, Commerce Cream is the first source of inspiration that focuses specifically on e-commerce. So this might be great for you if you find yourself doing a lot of e-commerce websites, or if you only exclusively do e-commerce websites. Now, I'm pretty sure that this website is either run by Shopify or it's heavily sponsored by Shopify. But again, to me, that doesn't matter. I just like finding sources of web design inspiration. The cool thing about Commerce Cream is that instead of showing you desktop images by default, they show you mobile images by default. So it's a great place to go if you're looking for some mobile web design inspiration. Number 18, Ecomm Design. Ecomm Design is another e-commerce web design inspiration source. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of the websites here are from different platforms, so not just Shopify websites, which is kind of cool. If you've ever built on another platform, you can come and see how maybe they've done some things. It looks like the website's run by a real small team from folks from all over the world who come from various backgrounds. So it's kind of cool that it's not just run by design folks who are only thinking about the design of a website, but they're also thinking about the content. They're thinking about how well it's going to convert. So it's a great place to come to find an all-around source of web design inspiration. Number 19, Awwwards, or should I say Awwwards? That's AWWWARDS. Now, Awwwards is another place that's been around for a really long time. And they've actually expanded to be about more than just web design inspiration. They've got a lot of great resources for education. They even publish a book. So it's a great one-stop shop. If there's one website where you're like, I'm just going to go and look up stuff and find some really unique and innovative websites, this would be it. Now, you can also submit your website. Haven't done it myself, so I don't know how the process works, but it's certainly something to look into. Number 20, CSS Nectar. CSS Nectar is a lot like some of the other award-based web design inspiration sites that we've seen. So a lot like Awwwards, a lot like FWA, all that kind of stuff. The difference with this is that if you want to submit a website, you actually have to give them $9. So there's a little bit more skin in the game for folks who are submitting to this site. Number 21, Web Design Inspiration. Web design is one word, then the dash, then the inspiration. And I can only assume that the other versions of web design inspiration URLs were taken, and that's why they went with this one. Now, it's a great place to go and look. I will caution you that there are a lot of ads, and they probably chose this URL because of what it would do for their SEO, because it had web design inspiration in the title. So I'm sure that they're just trying to get a lot of traffic. Nonetheless, it's still a great place to go look and find some good sources of inspiration. Number 22, brutalist websites. This source of web design inspiration is actually probably the most unique that we've seen so far. And they position themselves as only highlighting brutalist websites. Now, the term brutalism comes from a architecture design from the 1950s and 1960s, but web designers have kind of readopted it in the last few years to mean websites that don't really follow the norm when it comes to the design rules. And so you got some really unique websites that are somewhat all over the place. It's good to look at if you've ever wondered how to kind of push the boundaries with what you're doing, but it's definitely more on the high design, high level of creativity type of inspiration. So go take a peek. 23, hover states. Now, hover states focuses primarily on what happens when you interact with a website. So they actually take videos of themselves interacting with different elements and what kind of happens underneath the hood. So it's kind of a fun source of inspiration for interaction design. So if you've ever wondered what you should do with a button or what should happen when somebody scrolls down over an image, this is a great place to come look to get some ideas. Number 24, Wix Inspiration. And I almost kind of hate admitting this because I'm a Showit fan, right? I work for Showit, I love Showit, but Wix has done a great job of curating some really great websites on the Wix platform. So might be your cup of tea. You love Wix websites, you love working with Wix, and so this might be a great place for you to come look. But no matter what web platform you build on, there's going to be a lot of great inspiration here for you to come check out. Number 25, Codrops. Now, Codrops is not a web design inspiration resource. It's actually a source of tutorials to show you how to do really cool stuff with some code. But every time I'm on here, I find really cool stuff that I'm like, ooh, that's a great design idea. And oh, that's some cool animation that goes along with it. So you'll find some really cool tutorials that help you level up your coding skills, but then you'll also find some great web design inspiration. Number 26, Abduzeedo. Abduzeedo was one of the very first websites that I went to when I was learning how to work with Adobe Photoshop. They had a lot of great tutorials. They were one of the only places on the internet that had tutorials that were for free that you could learn how to use Photoshop. They've since pivoted and gone less on the tutorial side of things and more on the branding inspiration. But you'll also find some really cool web design inspiration. And if you're doing web design, you're probably also doing a fair bit of branding as well. And so there's a lot of great stuff for you to look at there. Number 27, fonts in use. Now, probably from the name, you've determined that this is a website devoted to fonts. The answer is yes, but they also have a category for websites. And so you can go on, find some good inspiration that is mainly pointing out the typography or the fonts that are being used. But hey, that's one of the things that we talked about you need to look for when you're looking for web design inspiration. So it's a great place for you to visit. Number 28, Brand New. Brand New is run by a company called Under Construction, and they focus almost entirely on the branding of a business. And so it's not necessarily meant for web designers to come and find web design inspiration. But if you've ever done a website project and asked the client, hey, have you got your branding all done? You're more than likely to have heard, yes, we have a logo. To which you respond, well, a brand is much more than a logo, and you have to have a deeper conversation. So not only is this a good place for you to come and learn how to create standout brands for your clients, but they also feature some brands that have worked on their website. So it's a great source to come and find some really cool inspiration. Number 29, Dribbble. And that's Dribbble with 3 B's, D-R-I-B-B-B-L-E. This is probably one that you're familiar with. There's a lot of great design inspiration on here, and it was actually started so that designers didn't have to feel the pressure of making these big, long blog posts where they talked about these projects that they were working on. They could just put a shot, you know, like a basketball shot, hence the name Dribbble, right? You dribble and you shoot. So you could put a shot, which is just a really small little pic of what you've been working on, and other folks could look at it and be inspired. So there's a lot of great, just plain design inspiration. There's 3D inspiration, there's logo inspiration, but there's also a lot of web design inspiration for you to come and take a look at. Number 30, Behance. Behance is actually run by Adobe, and it was a way for Adobe to allow its users to put different things on their portfolio. I know a lot of people who only use Behance to show off the portfolio of stuff that they've built. So it's a great place to come and look and see a lot of different inspiration. Now, where Dribbble would be a really simple source of inspiration, you just get one shot of a thing. Behance is the all and, right? It's everything that you could possibly imagine. And people actually get really creative with how they're displaying their portfolio. So you'll see little movies in between text, in between another movie. And so it's a real cool place to come and find even a way to present your own sources of your portfolio for the world to see. 31, Pinterest. Now, Pinterest isn't just for recipes and for the latest pair of mom jeans that people like wearing. It's also a great place of inspiration for web designs. And it's funny because this is the very first platform that I used to curate my own source of web design inspiration. And you can kind of see my progression of the things that I've pinned. If you go way far back, I'm like, why did I pin that? That's not actual good web design. So you can kind of see your progress, or even how your tastes have changed if you sign up for Pinterest and use this as a source of web design inspiration. 32 is Savee.it, and that's Savee.it. And Savee.it proclaims to be like Pinterest, but more for creatives. So get rid of all the mom jeans and recipes, and you've just got what we see at Savee.it. It's another great place. There's all sorts of really cool creative inspiration. It's not just for design, there's also photography. So it's a great place to come and look. Number 33 is Cosmos. Cosmos is a lot like Savee.it, but it's fairly new to the game. So I feel like some of their inspiration is a lot more fresh, or a lot fresher than the stuff that you would see at Savee.it. Now, when you first log in, you're going to have to pick from a list of all the sources of inspiration. I'd encourage you to pick UX and UI because that's going to be what you're looking for when it comes to web design. Number 34, design inspiration. And it's next on the list for a Pinterest-like platform that's made more for creatives. One of the cool things about design inspiration is that you can actually search by color. And so if you've got a color palette that you're working with that you're just like, I don't know what to do with this, you can go on and actually look at different hex codes, and it'll give you a list of things that it finds for inspiration. Number 35 is the Showit marketplace. Don't forget that there are a lot of really cool web template marketplaces out there. And one of the first ones that I like to go to is Showit. I have some of my own templates on there that are absolutely free for you to come and check out and see some of my work. But I like looking through here and see how folks have decided to make color combinations and font combinations. It's a great place to look. Number 36 is Webflow templates. Now, I'm setting my bias aside again, but I also have to admit that there are a lot of great sources of web design inspiration on Webflow templates. I visit this place a lot and try to see what different people have done to make some really cool websites. So make sure that you go check out this one as well. Number 37, Curated.design. Now, Curated.design is actually a source of web design inspiration from UI8.net, which is a subscription-based design resource and asset tool. And they've got a lot of really cool stuff that you can use on your own projects, but then they're also highlighting really great design that's out there. This is a great one that I've just recently found, and it's become more and more of a go-to. Number 38, and finally, Squarespace templates. Squarespace has been around for a long time, and they've done a lot of really great design and helped a lot of great folks get their website online. So there's great templates that are real simple, real minimal, and it's a great source of inspiration to find for similar projects that you're working on. Whew, okay, that was a lot. And hopefully you're still with me. If you're not, and how would I know? Then you can also visit the link to the page where I list all of these out so that you can save these sources of web design inspiration for later. I will say that even if you find great web design inspiration, you've got to have a way that you're organizing so that you can come back, because you'll often say, oh man, remember that one website that did that one really cool thing? And if you don't know how to find it, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So that's going to be what we're going to talk about for another episode. So make sure that you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out. We'll see you really, really soon.